Welcome to Canada Reads Inspired, featuring two friends who hope to inspire you to read across Canada. Rebecca is an hour from the border in Michigan, and Tara is from Ontario.
Hello and welcome to Canada Reads Inspired. I'm Tara and I'm here with Rebecca. Hello, Rebecca.
Good morning, Tara. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
Very good. Yeah, beautiful weather. Nice.
It
I mean,
is
we're having a mild winter so far. We had a couple hot days, but
summer.
now it's been
Summer.
summer. Yeah. And sorry. And I'm loving this sort of mild summer so far.
Yeah, us too. We have a here we go, weather, but weather talk, I'm sorry, it's just so great.
Yeah.
We're having like a very, I heard someone the other day, I can't remember what they called it, but anyways, like an up and down. Like we'll have like a couple of cool days and then a couple of warm days and then one like a random hot day. And then it goes back to cold, like up and down. It's unpredictable. I'm okay with it though. I'll be honest. I'm
Yeah.
okay with
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Anything interesting going on before we get into our book chat?
Well, I'll just say this. So, if you don't know, I'm a big football fan. So, World Cup is my big thing that I've been following since 1978. And so, yeah. And I'm a German fan. Almost 50 years of being a German fan.
Nice,
So,
nice.
yeah. So,
I am
yeah,
not
it's
a
all good.
football/soccer fan, but you know, it's going on. I know what's going on. I'm seeing scores and stuff. I have like a bookish thought that I had yesterday as everyone knows, I am trying to get through my physical TBR that's on the book, on the thing, which consists mainly of fiction. And I've actually made my way through my nonfiction books, minus one or two. So I decided yesterday that this is going to be the summer of fiction reading for me. Not entirely, but I'm not going to be like working any nonfiction regularly into my reading. I'm just going to focus on having like a fun fiction summer to help me get through these. Because right now at the moment, I'm trying not to buy books too much. So where I've made my way through my nonfiction books, I would have to either go buy books, nonfiction books, or get them from the library. And if I get them from the library, I'm not getting through my physical TBR that I have here. So I'm just going to like fiction. Still be some library books, but mostly it's going to be from my shelf and see how I do over the summer.
And that's because you always have a nonfiction book reading along with a fiction, and that's why.
Yeah.
So now you're caught up on your nonfiction that you own.
Yes.
So now it's hitting the fiction shelves.
Hitting the fiction hard. Yeah. I may like, if it happens that I buy a nonfiction because there are a couple memoirs coming out in the near future, then that's totally fine. I may read one, but I am like focusing on my fiction this summer.
All right. Sounds like a good plan. I like that.
Yeah. So what are you currently reading?
So I had my little 8-year-old was here, and I had finished a book. It was a kid's book it was a review book that I read, and I'll be posting about it soon. But I said to her, I said, "Hey, do you want to pick my next book that I'm going to read?" And she said, "No." So I said, "Really?" I said, "You don't want to go in the living room and open that cabinet and look for a book?" And she's like, "Oh, okay." So she's not a reader. So, of course, the first book she pulled off the shelf is the one she handed me. So I think she was just wanting to get back to her tablet, but whatever, it's all good. And so I am currently reading Solito by Javier Zamora, which is an award-winning memoir about when he was a 9-year-old boy, he went from his home in El Salvador to the United States to be with his parents, who he hadn't seen since he was, I think, 4 or 5. And it is written as if it were a novel. I mean, it really reads like it's a novel because obviously a 9-year-old would not have this level of memory and descriptive prose. And I watched a little video of him, and he just basically said his therapist said, "You haven't dealt with this yet. How about you tell this 9-year-old story," basically. And that is what kind of kicked off the memoir. And it's just really, it's a painful read. And especially in the context of everything around the world when it comes to refugees and immigration and everything. But it's beautifully written. So that is what I'm currently reading.
Yeah. And I feel like she did a good job because I think that one's been on your TBR for a while too, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was on my TBR forever, and then I saw it in a bookstore, and I thought, "You know what? It's been on my TBR for so long." I thought, "I'm gonna buy it, then that way it's in front of my face," and, yeah. So it was one I was gonna pick up, this year. I knew for sure I would pick it up this year, but again, what I loved was it was the first one she picked up off the shelf, and she just handed it to
Yeah.
me. So
I'd actually, when you posted it on Instagram, my first thought was like, I thought Rebecca already read that. Like, I honestly, that's how long it's been on there that
yeah,
I thought you'd already read it. So kudos to
yeah,
her. Good choice.
yeah.
Good choice,
Good ch
even if it was with little thought.
Yeah.
But
Little low effort, low thought. Yep, that's my girl. Anyway, all right, how about you? What are you currently reading?
I have two. I have a short story. So I have the collected stories of Carol Shields, which was published back in 2004. And I swear to God, this has probably been on my shelf since 2004
Wow.
because it's a hardcover book. So I'm
Mhm.
like working my way through that, and it's a big one because it's a collected story, so they feel like it's got to be huge. So that's that one. And then my fiction book is Beneficiary by JoAnn McCaig, which I am really enjoying, only not even halfway through, oh maybe. And I knew I was going to like this book right from the beginning because it starts, the opening quote is from Ghostbusters 2. So I was like, game on. I'm like, that seems so random. Like, I'm like, I don't see how that can be have anything to do with the book, but I'm like, I love the Ghostbusters movies, so I'm like, I think I'm going to love it. And it's about a woman, Seren. She has a life of privilege. Lives in Calgary, and then as a young woman in the 70s, she can picture her life. She sees it mapped out for her, a life of country clubs and being a wife and a homemaker, and she says no. And she leaves her family, has a wild time on the West Coast in the 70s. And then we see the decisions she makes that lead her to where she is 50 years later.
Oh.
Where, yeah, so when the book starts, she's actually probably a little bit older, maybe in her 60s or something, and living a very privileged life. And she's wondering, how the hell did I get here? And then that's when we go back and see it. And I actually love a book where it's a woman's story from that looks back and then goes through the different stages of her life. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so there's our currently reads. Rebecca, what have you been reading over the past month or so?
Well, I've read a number of things, but believe it or not, things that I don't want to talk about because I really
Hmm.
just didn't like them and I wouldn't recommend them and I don't want to waste anybody's time. So anyway, I've got 2 books today. So I'm going to talk about my
Okay.
2 books and then I'll let you take over and
Okay.
you said some really good reads today, so that's good. What I just want to mention because I mentioned it I think on our reading from our shelves on our YouTube channel, but I hadn't finished the book yet. So I just want to mention Black Out Loud: The Revolutionary History of Black Comedy from Vaudeville to the 90s Sitcoms by Geoff Bennett, who's one of the news readers on the NPR thing news. What's it? I can't think what it's called. Anyway, sorry, that's a bad way of saying that. He's a wonderful person. He does a great job. I love him actually. But anyway, the thing I just want to mention about the book, I learned some things that were really fascinating. And I will just say, if you want to go look at my Instagram account, because I highlight some of the things that were so cool about this book. But here's the thing that really bugged me. 2 things really bugged me about this book. So it went from like what I felt like was going to be a 5 because I was really enjoying it. I think I gave it like 3.5 or something because it
Mm.
just pissed me off so bad. The longest chapter in the book. So he's got all these famous black comedians throughout history, right? From vaudeville to kind of current. And well, 90 sitcoms, I should say. And the longest chapter is about Bill Cosby. And at first I was thinking, boy, I feel like I'm really reading a long thing about Bill Cosby. And so I finally looked at it, and it's the longest chapter by quite a bit. And he sort of briefly sort of just makes a little reference to something bad that Bill might have done. But then he doesn't say anything till the final 3 sentences, and he says, "In the wake of the revelations, the lawsuits, and the criminal conviction, the public must still grapple with a vexing question. Do Cosby's misdeeds,"
Mm.
that's the word he used, "cancel his massive accomplishments?" And I thought, he must have a family relationship with Bill Cosby. How could any legitimate journalist give Bill Cosby a pass in a book, write the longest chapter? It didn't even have to be the longest chapter,
Yeah.
because to be honest with you, I don't think he said anything more compelling about Bill Cosby than he did the others, which I thought some of them had some really fascinating backstories. So once he did that, I was like, now I'm pissed. I was not happy about that. And then I said in my review, I said a 300-page book about the impact of Black comedians from vaudeville through the 90s, and only two women are given their own chapters. And one of them is Hattie McDaniel, who played Mammy in Gone with the Wind. So you wouldn't think of her as a comedian necessarily, but she did have this amazing background that I didn't know. So that was pretty cool. And I loved learning that. And Mom's Mabley, who I really loved back in the day, right? And I said in my review, I said, what about Whoopi Goldberg, who is literally on the cover of the book and does not even have her own chapter? I think he mentions her once or something. And I also mentioned LaWanda Page, which again, LaWanda gets a little bit of play in the Fred Sanford son, Red Fox chapter. And then Wanda Sykes. I was like, how do you not include Wanda Sykes, for God's sakes?
Yeah.
So I don't understand what the hell he was doing with this book. And I would say, if you could have given Bill Cosby the same level of whatever that he gave to the others, maybe I could have lived with that a little bit better. But not having those amazing women as other chapters is crazy. I just don't understand what he was doing. And I haven't read any real criticism of that. So I just want to mention it because I was so excited to read that book. I was absolutely loving it. And it was just like a bucket of cold water in my face on those two issues. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the other book I want to talk about is one that I talked about briefly again on our reading from our shelves, that I kind of said some things I'd like to retract because I actually really like the book. Okay, it's The Peace Thieves by Brent van Staalduinen, if I'm correctly pronouncing that. And I did get this book from Halle through River Street Rights. And I wanted to read it because it alternates chapters. It's set in 1993 in Croatia and during the Serbian-Croatian War. And then it jumps to 2023 with the main character. His name is Francis, and he was a medic, a Canadian reservist, a medic, and he goes to serve in the Croatia, that region. And it's 20 years later, 30 years later, and he gets a knock on his door basically, and this young woman is standing there, and it's his daughter, and that he never knew he had. So all chapters alternate between Francis and Viva, and the story is really about war, PTSD, relationships, family relationships, broken lives. It was really very, very compelling. And I kept thinking, this person who wrote the book has to have been a medic, because there's no way that the level of detail that you get would be reasonable if you had not served. And I think it did say that he had been a medic. Now, I don't know if that means he was a medic at this time. I kind of don't know that that's the case. But the other thing is, in the background of Francis's story is this thing that happened in September of 93. It was called Operation Medic Pocket. Do you know about this?
No.
Okay, because apparently it was a big thing. I think Canadians who were really into military history or were alive at that time and really paying attention to what was going on would, apparently it is supposed to be a very pivotal point in Canadian military history for different reasons. I'm not going to go into the whole thing about it, but that event is part of the backdrop of this story. So I really think that anyone can read this book, but I was really thinking about, especially Father's Day is coming up soon, or by the time this drops, it may be past. But I feel like there might be men out there who like military history kind of things. And I think this would be a really wonderful read for those people. I mean, as a woman, an older woman, I really, really enjoyed it. But I also think I don't really read war books, quote, war books. And I wanted to read it for that very reason, because I don't really do that. And I really enjoyed it. Now, the one complaint I had on on our YouTube channel was the sex scenes in it. I thought were just like, ugh. And then I said to myself, you know what? women write ridiculous sex scenes. And I think these are kind of ridiculous sex scenes
Mm-hmm.
to me. Now, that doesn't mean I own the truth on what it is, right? So maybe all of what happens in the book could have happened in real life, and I'm just ridiculous having this narrow view of what people would do in wartime. I never experienced war, and I hope I never do, but I just don't. I just don't know. But I think that that complaint that I had is a solely personal response to something that, because when I really thought about, like I said, women write some stuff that I just go, really? Like, the one that makes me laugh, the one that where they say something about a guy smiles with his bottom teeth or something. Have you seen those videos
Mm,
on social media? They're hilarious. And
no.
so people try to go like this and show like a passion, but you're showing your lower teeth. Or anyway, it's really hilarious to me. So I was thinking, women write ridiculous stuff. I don't even know if this qualifies as ridiculous. It seemed a little bit over the top for me, but I'm gonna just say that I don't own the truth on that anyway, and it's just my personal preference for not wanting to read about sex and war. I just don't want to. And it doesn't it's not a ton of it. It's just, yeah, it's just a little bit, but overall, I really do want to say that I'm glad I read the book. I learned something about Canadian history that I didn't know at all, and the brokenness of these people, of all of them, resonates because it's so real. Like the lives of these people, the ways that they react to things and what they experienced feels very, very real, and I do think that he captured that beautifully.
Nice. Nice. That's a good way to wrap it up. I like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And from what I understand, writing sex is not easy. So I think some people are much better at it than other writers, even if the writer is really good. It's not easy to
Yeah.
write that stuff, you know? We'll give him a pass.
I'm giving him a pass that he doesn't need because other people probably it didn't even resonate, but yes,
Yeah.
okay.
And I've been seeing that book in the last week or so. I'm seeing it everywhere on Instagram. So it's I think it's doing well. Let's hope so anyways.
Yeah, it came out June 2nd, and like I said, I think it definitely deserves whatever, kudos it's getting because it
Mhm.
is really good, and I do highly recommend it.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to move into my books now. So this first one, I don't know if I've spoke about it here. Rebecca and I were talking about this beforehand, but I know I brought it to our YouTube, so one of our reading from the shelves, but I want to bring it here again. And it is Night Terminus by Ellis Scott. It's a small, quiet, beautiful little book that follows an unnamed narrator from 1985 to like contemporary to present day, and several pivotal relationships that occur through his adulthood during the AIDS epidemic. I found an article that was written by the author, which I think just sums it up perfectly. So the novel explores the aftermath of the crisis and the fates of the survivors. I think I'd even mentioned once that I did not even think before of the lingering trauma of the survivors of the AIDS epidemic. So that's what it really highlighted for me. The other quote I will end with that from the author in the same article, which I really liked. Here it is. Embracing the outlaw within is a powerful act of resistance. This principle empowers the main cast and the people they encounter along the way. There it is. It's a small, beautifully written book, character driven. So, a great book for Pride Week or Pride Month as we are still in June.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Yeah. Okay, book number 2. I am bringing a very buzzy book. I'm not going to say much about it, but I don't often read buzzy books in the moment. So if I'm reading one, I'm going to bring it, especially because I really enjoyed this one. It was super fun. And it is Yesteryear by Caro Claire Burke. And it is about a trad wife who is an influencer, a very successful influencer, who one morning wakes up and she is in the 1800s. So, whereas on her TikTok and social media, YouTube channels, she was making butter for her family, you know what? Now she has to make the butter or her husband's going to hit her across the face. So, so oh God, I hate to say it, but I love this book. She is unlikable. Most of the characters in this book are unlikable, and I'm okay with that because I did not want to like her, but I was invested in this and that I wanted to know what the hell was going on. You get back and forth from like present day, so you get her story of how she became that successful trad wife to, I guess, the before times when she is now a trad wife. So the story goes back and forth until you find out at the end what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the reveal at the end. I've spoken to a couple of friends since who have also read the book who did not enjoy the reveal. They were in for the book until they got to the end, and the end kind of
Oh.
ruined the book for them. Yeah. But you know what? It's a thriller. And that's what happens sometimes with thrillers. Most of the times with a thriller, I am deeply unsatisfied with the book and annoyed that I spent my time reading it. So it's a risk that you take with a thriller, I find.
Yeah.
But so if anyone else reads it and you feel like dropping me a line about it, please do. Book number 3, I have finally read another Heather O'Neill book in my quest to read through her back list, and that is When We Lost Our Heads. And it is set in the 19th century Montreal, and it focuses on 2 young women. At the time we meet them, they're like pre-adolescent, and they are of the upper middle class to upper class Anglo society of Montreal. They instantly make a connection. This strong bond happens between them. Something traumatic happens that splits them apart, and then they are brought back together in their when they are adults. That's all I'm going to say about it. I loved it. I love Heather O'Neill's writing. She writes gritty fairy tales. That's almost like, even though it's not at all a fairy tale, there's still like there's a lot of grit, there's a lot of grime and mess in these books because she's writing of the 1800s. But she puts this like weird magical quality to her writing that I absolutely love, that I am completely into. So I can't wait to read the next one. Okay, book 4, I had an unusual relationship with. Not really. It's that I was totally in, and then I went at the end.
Ooh.
Yes, you know about this one. I sent you a message about it. Anyways, it is Sorry, Not Sorry, an unapologetic look at what makes Canada worth fighting for by Mark Critch. So this book was long listed for the Stephen Leacock Award this year. We've both read Mark Critch's first memoir, right? Son of a Critch. I haven't yet read his second one. Have you
I
read
did.
the
I read
second
this.
one?
Yeah, I
Okay.
read the second one as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So we both really enjoyed his memoirs, his writing. So I
Hmm.
was looking forward to this one. This is a collection of essays, exactly like what it says. A look at what makes Canada worth fighting for in the era of Donald Trump. Now, it is super funny. For the most part, I enjoyed like maybe even like 80% of these essays because they were just fun looks at Canadian culture, iconic Canadian culture, politics, history. That's a little wacky, but that truly does make Canada Canada. It's geared specifically, I would say, towards like my generation, the 50-odd-year-old, because there were many moments when I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot about that commercial. I love that commercial. So yes, like for most of it, I was totally in for it. Then, as I told Rebecca, the last, I think, 3 essays, 2 to 3 essays, I felt like were filler. Like they kind of lost that Canadian culture history vibe, and they took like a weird little right turn that they missed the mark for me. I don't want to get into it too much about it specifically, but they missed the mark. And I almost felt like the book is only short, it's just over 200 pages. And I wonder if the publisher was like, we need a few more pages. Like, we need something
Yeah.
else. It's not quite long enough. And so he did these. They're comedic, they're funny, but they did not have the zing of the first part of the collection. So it brought the book down from like maybe a 4.25 star to like a 3.75, like just Still
Yeah.
successful, like, because I really enjoyed that first part of the book, but the rest of it was kind of like, "Merp, merp." Like,
And probably, like you had said, if they had been interspersed, maybe it wouldn't have had you wouldn't have had that impact at the end.
yes,
But that the fact that they were at the end
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
lumped together. Yeah.
yeah. So it was unfortunate. Other than that, like, I would even recommend maybe you don't even need to read the last 2 to 3 essays if you pick up the book, because those first ones are just truly funny. I chuckled away at them, but just ignore the last ones.
Yeah.
Okay, my final book. Oh my gosh, Rebecca, I just finished this book yesterday, and it's one that's been on my TBR for like the past year, and I got it from the library. I finally got around to reading it, and I loved it. It is The Everlasting by Alix E. Harrow. So she's an American author. I've read a couple other of her books. This one is a fantasy. I'm just going to focus on this one. It is a fantasy. It's almost like a take. You can't help but think of the King Arthur mythology and Excalibur and everything like this as you're reading it. So, fantasy, it's set in a fictitious country called Dominion. And at the beginning, we meet Owen, who is a historian and an academic, and his government bestow the task on him of going back through time to the time of this knight, Sir Una Everlasting, who is like our King Arthur figure, but she's a woman. So she's a female knight, and he must go back in time to ensure that Sir Una does exactly what she's supposed to do through her lifetime, this pivotal moment in her life, so that Dominion, the country that he is in, remains as it is. So like the fate of his country depends on Sir Una doing her tasks. We even, like I mentioned, Excalibur, because what brings Sir Una her knighthood almost is when she is a young girl, something happens to her family and she pulls a sword that's been in buried in a tree, like, or not buried, but stuck in a tree. She pulls it out and just starts this rampage, brings glory to Dominion and the crown and the whole thing. So it is a time traveling fantasy of a female knight and Owen, and oh my god, it's so beautiful. Like, you do get a loop in that something, because it's time traveling, so there's a loop, and you Owen keeps having to go back in time. So I will put it out there, if the thought of rereading the same story is something that annoys you, there's a small element of that,
Hmm.
but not much, because there's always something that changes. Even at the beginning, it's so beautiful. You get Una herself is amazing. What Alix E. Harrow does here, obviously, you have a female knight, which we don't get a lot of in traditional fantasy. She plays with gender and gender roles, because Una is the knight and Owen is almost like her page that follows her around. It's a love story. Of course, it's a love story, but it's so much more, because you also have the gender roles, colonialism, storytelling versus facts. Who tells history is the one, so who tells the story is who makes the history. There's a lot about the whitewashing of history, the removal of people of color from history to get the story that leads people into war, fighting for whatever.
Yeah.
It is so good. Honestly, I feel so bad for Mike, because I was finishing it yesterday. I was off yesterday, and I'm like, I'm not getting out of this chair until I finish this book this morning. And I was so close. I still had a few pages left, but you know how before you even get to the last page, there's always that moment in a really good book that just nails it. I was at that line. Like, I was about to read the sentence that just made me go, oh, when Mike comes around the corner and is like, I didn't sleep well last night. I feel so bad for him because I just lost it on him. I'm like, "You've ruined the
My
moment,
moment.
the moment." He's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "I was just about to read this sentence that just is the most beautiful sentence of the book, and you've ruined it." What a pain in the ass I am to live with, honestly, that you can't even.
I love it.
I felt so bad. So then I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "Yeah, tell me about your sleep." And then he just kept going, and then after about 5 minutes, I'm like, "Okay, I'm done. I gotta go back to the book." Anyways, loved this
I
book.
love it.
I borrowed it from the library. I am buying myself a copy of this book because this is a book that I must have to reread. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I loved it so much. Perfect. It's a perfect book.
Have you read Alix E. Harrow before any of their books?
Yes. So I've read The Starling House, which I think was her book previous to this one. And then there is one more before, like, I think she's got two more before. The one that her first book, I think, was The 10,000 Doors of January, maybe. That one I haven't read, but I've heard amazing things about that.
Hmm.
And I feel like there is a third book
The Once
that
and
I've
Future Witches.
read.
Have you
Yes,
read that?
I've read that too. Yes, which I really enjoyed. Yeah. But this, of the three that I have read, this one here, The Everlasting, is by far my favorite.
Wow.
Yeah. Ah,
Nice.
so good. So good. And even, when you're like reading a book and you're like, I don't know how this is going to, especially with a time travel book, right? Like, it's how that's in a loop. How does a writer write themselves out of that loop to give you an ending, like really stick that ending? Because I was like, I'm loving this book, but I don't know how this is going to end. Like, how does
Yeah.
this not go on forever and ever?
Yeah.
But she did. I'm not going to say anything else because, you know, I don't want to. I do, but I won't. I don't want to ruin the experience.
Clearly 5 stars.
Clearly, yes. I loved it. But there we go.
Yep. There you go. All
Yep.
right. Well, hopefully I can come back next month and tell you I've read some amazing things. 5 star like that. That would be great if I could accomplish that in the next month. That would be wonderful. But I want to mention to everyone, if you're
Yes.
not aware, we do have a summer bingo challenge, summer reading bingo challenge, and we have both have it pinned to our Instagram. So if you want details about the program, check us out on our Instagram
Hmm.
accounts, either one of us. And also, it is what's really fun about it, rather than a bingo that says read a horror book or read a romance or something, we actually give you the titles that we want to recommend that you read, things that we've talked about over the past year or longer. And at the end of the challenge, which is September 5th, we will be drawing randomly. If you send us your bingo line, either a screenshot of your bingo or the titles that you've read, which includes a bingo line, then you're entered for a $50 gift card to the independent bookstore of your choice. And you can have more than one bingo line. And I think that's all the rules, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we also have a YouTube video. So if you go to our
Yes.
YouTube channel, we also posted a YouTube video in which we reveal all the titles that are on. So if you want to see that as well, and then all the rules are on our Instagram pages.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also too on our Instagram, and also don't know if it's on the YouTube. I think it is. We sort of tell you what genre the title is and how many pages it is, also to give you a sense of, if you want to go for something, a really, meaty book, which Tara had a couple of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then down to a novella, which I put up. So, which was like 86 pages. So, anyway, hopefully you'll want to join us on that adventure, our first time doing it. Hopefully
Hmm.
you enjoy it, and we'll do it again in the, next summer, maybe.
Yeah. I'm enjoying it. I'm working along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
Trying to
yet.
get a bingo.
I got a long way to go.
Doesn't matter. One bingo, one entry. Not for us, of course. That's just,
That's right.
but
Yeah, yeah. We should say you and I are playing along, but
yeah.
obviously we cannot win our own
Yeah.
our own
Although
gift
maybe
card.
I will, if I get a bingo, I get to buy a book. Why not?
There you go.
Yeah. There we
That's
go.
a good one.
Yep. I like a little book motivation. Let's do it.
And we should meet up in Sarnia at the bookkeeper, and then do our
Yes,
shopping.
buy our book
Yeah.
there. Okay,
There you go.
That's a
Sounds
deal.
good.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, I'll see you in September then.
Sounds good.
But we will see you before September. Well, you will hear us before September. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, may all your reading be inspired. Thank you for listening to Canada Reads Inspired. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing wherever you listen. You can connect with the podcast and Rebecca on Instagram at Canada Reads Inspired, and with Tara at On a Branch Reads. May all your reading be inspired.